everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Think Your Way to an Epic Life. And today's guest is so fun. Shawn Harper was an NFL lineman. For 7 years, that man lined up against the biggest, baddest people in the world and took a beating and gave a beating. However, the man is amazing. He had so many things going against him in his childhood. Single mom, 6 children to feed, severe poverty, just one thing after the other. Yet he has turned it around. He is truly a rags to riches story. And he's not just rich financially. He is rich. He loves life. He loves people. He cares. And he's making a difference in this world. Hope you enjoy as much as I did. So, Aaron Harper, thank you so much for joining us.
You called me Aaron. Very few people call me Aaron. That means that you've done some research, because normally my name is Shawn, but my full name, you are correct, is Aaron Shawn Harper. So thank you. I can tell right now this is going to be an absolute blast. Let's go, let's win, and let's change the trajectory of people's lives.
Let's go and let's change the trajectory. Okay, so Shawn, you've got an unbelievable story, author, NFL speaker, all that kind of stuff. But I want to kind of start at the beginning. You grew up in a household with a whole bunch of kids. Tell us about your beginnings.
You know what? I was just talking to my amazing queen. This is my wife, right? And had just although we had tons of challenges and setbacks, just being around 5 other brothers and sisters and how to collab with one bathroom, right? Just moving in and out of just that low level poverty, struggling together. You know, there was just an amazing amount of love there. Although I did have challenges, like my father, he was extremely abusive. Fortunately / unfortunately, he left when I was 3 years of age. And by the time I was in the first grade, I was documented with tons of learning challenges. I remember standing in the second grade line, first day of school. I was so excited to be in the second grade, right? I was like world domination from the second grade, like, crayons and tater tots, right? And the teacher grabs my left hand and she pulls me back into the first grade line. And my friends were like, "Shawn, you failed." They're yelling, "Shawn, you failed. You're stupid. You're dumb." I heard it every day. And I would want to hang out with them, but they wouldn't let me hang out with them because now I have my new first grade friends again, right? And by the time I was in the 5th grade, it's crazy, right? My teacher, bless her heart, she would love to let people read out loud. And I would sweat because I stuttered my entire life. I couldn't complete a sentence until college. So I'd practice all of the paragraphs. I would count the number of students, 13 students, 13 paragraphs. I get to my paragraph. They're all reading out loud, standing up. "Good job, Johnny." I'm like, and then when she gets to me, she's like, "Skip over that paragraph and read the next paragraph." And I'm like, I'm standing up, everyone's watching, and I'm stuttering. I could not complete it. It was bad. And then later on, she asked me to go to the board, couldn't spell. And she sent a note home. Basically, "We're going to test your son for learning disabilities." Yeah, it took the 5th grade to figure this out. And I'm in a room and with a psychologist, a sociologist, and all these ologists, right? And I'm tested for 2.5, 3, maybe 4 days. And they said, "Ma'am, your son has 4 to 5 documented learning disabilities, including stuttering, rote memorization, dyslexia, and all this other crap," right? And from there, they want to get all sorts of intervention and things and this and tactics and treatments. And my mom, I remember, I never forget, she slammed her left hand on the table and she said, "You will not label my boy."
Yes.
I didn't understand the magnitude of that moment, but what I got from that I was able to just dive into later in life is that I'm not disabled, I'm uniquely enabled. And everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and our educational system can't test my genius. But from there, I was kicked out of a couple schools for disciplinary issues. I left high school with a 1.62 accumulative GPA, 9 on my ACT, voted most likely to fail. I was horrible in football, underperformer. I go off to a junior college in Iowa. I'm horrible there. I almost quit, and I have a conversation that changed my life. And that conversation is, "You know what? You're right. I can't be successful. I don't have what it takes to be successful." I said, "But I can win." And the moment I said I can win, I begin to see problems as possibilities. I begin to see obstacles as opportunities. What happened in that moment, and it had to be divine. It had to be God. It's because, and the reason why is because later I learned that I was attacking and addressing and changing my story. I was changing my self-concept. You see, all actions stem from thoughts. All thoughts come from your belief system. And that's where about 90% of all success teachers stop. But there's one level deeper. It's called your self-concept. Maxwell Maltz talks about it in his book. My self-concept was a victim, and victims always look to what they're going to, not what they're going through, not what they're going to. And I said I was a winner, and it changed step by step, changed what I saw, changed my RAS, and it changed my life.
Amen. Oh my God, that's such a cool story. So for those of you who aren't familiar, RAS is the reticular activating system, and it's at the bottom of your brain, and it helps you notice things or it helps you not notice things is really what it does. Is it helps because you can't take everything in. So if you get a red car, you start seeing red cars you never saw before.
So now imagine I'm seeing poverty. I'm seeing failure. I'm seeing setbacks. I'm seeing problems. Now, all of a sudden, I'm seeing it. I'm focusing on it. My energy goes to it. Now I'm manifesting it. But now, since I'm changing that I'm a winner, now I'm looking for winning opportunities. I'm attracted to winners, and winners are now attracted to me.
And that is the way it is. And so how important is who you surround yourself with, John?
No. I don't have time to get really deep in the weeds about your company, but what I'll say is this, is that everyone that you are around has a particular energy, okay? And that energy comes from the heart. The heart electromagnetic frequency is 2,000 to 5,000 times stronger than the brain. And what's in them will get around you. So having people at a certain level will actually keep you stagnant. Now, I'm going to go somewhere that I don't normally go, but I was just reading this or hearing this a couple of days ago. It talks about how an angel talked to a particular individual, telling him that he was going to have a son named John the Baptist, right? Now, this is so powerful. The guy's name was Zachariah. I believe he was a priest. He was John the Baptist, his father. He was full of doubt and unbelief when the angel said, this is what's going to happen, that he said that the angel said, because you have doubt and unbelief, you will not be able to talk until the kid is born, so that he couldn't speak death. Now that is so powerful. And it's how much you want to go to the next level. Your words, your thoughts, your energy can abort, can kill, can stifle. They're so strong that not even God himself can fix it for you. That to me is scary. That's scary.
I'm so glad that you shared it, because people don't realize. And the thing is, once you get past all that, because we both grew up in poverty, and once you get past all that and your thinking changes, do you occasionally, Shawn, do you go, wow, the old me would have never done that or would have never thought that?
Yeah. All the time. I'm like, wow. It's just like, man, my mind races back to situations and circumstances that I did handle the wrong way. And I'm like, God, how could I have done that? Like, what was I thinking? I was a product of my thoughts. I was a product of my words. And that's a very sobering thought, is to look around you. Everything that you see around you right now, almost everything that's in your life is the result of your thoughts and words. That's scary.
It's also, guys, it is scary, but it's also so reassuring, because I want you to know that if your problems are because of your spouse or your kids or your uncle or your aunt or your job or the government, you can't do anything about it. When you take full responsibility, you can turn your life around like this gentleman has. Holy cow. Talk about day and night, black and white difference.
Yes.
Tell me about your life today. Just a snapshot of what your life looks like today.
I'm absolutely blessed. I have been able to, and this is so amazing, is that I have been able to conquer everything that the world deemed as a weakness. So I was horrible in football. I failed 2 physicals. I wasn't supposed to play football. And I played 7 years professional football. I was documented with 4 to 5 learning disabilities. I'm a graduate, double graduate from Indiana University, right? I let's see here. Oh, I come from a broken family. I've been married for over 25 years, right? So everything that was considered a weakness, I stuttered my entire life. I couldn't complete a sentence till college, and I've been blessed to speak all over the world. It's a difference. Once you change and you become the thermostat, not the thermometer, you respond versus react. You can change every aspect of your life because, going back to what you said earlier, you don't have to win all 4 quarters to win the game.
That's it. That's it. And people are so, we are so hard on ourselves.
Yes.
Give yourself a little bit of grace. And who needs to take care of Shawn more than anyone else?
Shawn. In fact, you know what? They were just laughing at me, right? It's off now, but I spent 2 hours at the doctor this morning, just getting everything checked in and checked out. Every facet, the higher you go, and this is what I've learned from a lot of high performing people. At a certain level, almost every aspect of their life, they have a coach. They have a physical coach, it's called a trainer. They have a spiritual coach, it's called a pastor. They have an actual medical coach, it's called a doctor. They have a accountability coach. They have every aspect, because our natural inkling is to exist in the 211. Water is water at 211, but at 212 degrees, water boils. That's where the outliers are. So what happens is that it's almost impossible for our human nature to get into the 212. Water has to have heat to get to the 212. You have to have a coach in your life. You have to have somebody in your life to push you past you.
I absolutely love that. I heard it said the other day that you are in a jar. You're in the inside of the jar, and the instructions to you are on the outside of the jar. Mm-hmm. You need somebody on the outside to be able to read those and say, "Hey, let's tweak this a little bit." They see things that you don't.
Yes. They see. Go ahead.
Do you have a teaching? Do you have a speaking coach?
Do I have a speaking coach? I have a speaking. I have an actual speaking critic. I have someone that sits there. I'm like, you know what? I know I'm decent. I know I'm okay. I need you not to be impressed. I need you not to be impressed with me. So when they listen to my speeches or they're sitting in the audience, they're like, that was great. However, you rush through this point. You spend, too much time here, or you need to slow down, your actual speaking and enunciation of words in this area and that area. Yes. I never expect for that person to smile ever. Sometimes I look like, man, I'm like, man, that was good. I look at her and she's like, You know what? That's what a coach does. Think about it. You had a great game. He gets in the locker room. Great job. And then on Monday, for some ungodly reason, he's yelling even more. Like, what? We just blew out our opponent. But don't get cocky. Don't get lazy. And then blah, blah, blah. I used to get so mad. Like, I'll be in practice and we would go through practice film. I dominated this guy. But the coach would always say, you know what? Your arm was not in the right place. Look at your head. A good one will beat you, Harper. I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Man. Okay. So rags to riches.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process like for you because we just talked about people have an energy, and if they have this energy, it's coming on you. You had to have lost relationships when you went from rags to riches. How do you handle that?
Well, you know what? Some relationships were lost. Some people were actually rearranged. I did a post on Facebook, and basically the post was like, once you realize that an individual is not truly for you, then you have to rearrange their importance in your circle. You got to push them out 1 or 2 circles, because who they are and what they do has a direct impact on your life. You know what it's like? It's like a space shuttle, right? And when the space shuttle goes all the way up and it gets to a certain level, it releases its right booster and its left booster to get to outer space, because what got it here can't get it here.
One of the best books ever written. What got you to here will not get you to there. to where
Yeah.
you want to be, or I can't remember the exact title, but
Look,
yeah.
right now in my office, oh my God, I own a security firm. Right now in my office, I have an actual outside firm, and they are tearing this company and me apart. And I realize, and I'll never admit it to them, but I realize that one of the biggest problems is me, is that I have to change my thinking. I have to change my processes and the procedures. I have to change that. And that takes a lot of humility. Listen, humility and being teachable is probably the two prerequisites to greatness, or three: sacrifice, humility, and being teachable. If you have those three qualities, you're already on second base.
Man, that's a huge head start. And there was something I saw recently on privilege that was so good, because I don't think people really get what privilege is. And so there was a man, he had $100 bill. He's on like a football field. He's got 50 people lined up. He says, whoever wins, whoever crosses this finish line first gets the $100. But first, if both of your parents are still married, take 2 steps forward, 2
Right.
giant steps forward.
Right.
If you never had to deal with drug and alcoholism, if you never had to, all these things, and then you see that there's people way, way back here, and there's people almost to the 50-yard line. And those people at the 50-yard line don't understand that they had privilege.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Go ahead.
no, after
No.
you.
The one thing, that I am thankful for by not having privilege, right? Because I'm gonna flip this, is that it makes me hungry. So take the Olympics. This is a perfect example, in my opinion. The Olympics. When you're great in some other countries, a lot of other countries, they are trained to recognize talent at 4, 5, 6 years of age. They say you are talented in maybe in the Orient somewhere. They take you. They take you to a academy. You leave mom and dad for a long period of time, and you train. You train every day. You get the best meals. You get the best everything, just so that you can perform for a few seconds 4 to 5 years later. Okay. You go to the Olympic Village, the government funded. Everything is done. A stipend is given to you. Everything's done. That's not the way it works in America. You can have a lot of talent and people, but guess what? You got to go out. You got to raise sponsorship. You got to sweat. You got to bleed. You got to hurt. No one's holding your hand. Daggone it. It's just horrible. And then and then you got to try out. And then if you make the team, you still got to have sponsorship to get to where you have to get to. What? But when I go back and look at the Olympic count, as long as I can remember, America has always been number one, because the struggle, the pain, the rejection, the abandonment produces hunger. And that is the secret sauce that allows you to dwell in the 212. You got to be hungry.
You absolutely do. And so, Shawn, why do you think that some people take that hunger and turn it into something wonderful, and most people don't? Most people stay the way they were raised.
You know what? I can't speak for most people, but I can only speak for myself. Okay. So what helped me was that there was a few people that saw the king in the kid. There was a few people that said, there's greatness in you. There was my mother, maybe 3 or 4 other people. Out of all the naysayers, those words stuck. And in my darkest moments, I was able to revert back to those words and use those words as a springboard, which is the catalyst of basically why I do what I do. Is because those voices of encouragement and hope and compassion is basically dwindling in our culture, that we need, people like myself and like yourself to see the king and the kid, to see the potential, to see the Shawn Harper in the midst of rejection, to be able, like a gemologist, and to cut away and to chip away and to smooth out. When you see a diamond, that's not how it starts off, man. It starts off rust. It's at a lump of coal or whatever, and he has to be cut. It has to be shaped. It has to be smoothed out. We need more people like us. That's why.
It's an honest to goodness fact, and I'm pleading with anyone who's listening to this or watching this on YouTube. You have no clue how much your words can mean to a child that you don't even know. You
Yes.
don't even know that kid. Oprah Winfrey talked about it at one point where the governor and his wife were traveling through her state, and she got to see them. And the governor's wife looked down at her and she said, "I was not an attractive child." But this lady that was so classy and so beautiful looked down at her and said, "Well, aren't you a pretty little pup?" And she said, "I didn't know what a pretty little pup was, but I went home and I looked in the mirror for the first time in my life, and I thought, I am pretty."
Yep.
And it's like the worst. And then they brought that woman. Oprah's on stage telling the story, and her producers brought that woman on and came up behind Oprah, and Oprah turned around and saw her. And I mean, it was just like, "Ah," you made such a difference in my life. And it took how long? "You're such a pretty little pup." It took less than 5 seconds of that woman's time to create Oprah. So you guys go talk to kids and tell them what you see in them that's good.
Awesome.
That's amazing. I thank you so much for sharing that. So you fell back on those, and you said you were a stutterer your whole life, but in college it changed. What changed? Was it just the mindset change and immediately you could speak clearly?
Yeah. So let me just digress for 1 second. One of the reasons why I'm speaking today is because my fourth grade teacher, out of everyone in the class, she said, "I'm stuttering." She said, "Shawn, you're going to represent our class to go to the PA system." They had PA systems back there, to give the speech for the fourth grade. And I was like, that person's honor, no, you're going to do it. And I wrote my little poem. And then I got up there, "Twinkle star, you'll go far," with the guitar, whatever, bar, bar, bar. And I came back to the room and she was like, "Excellent." That moment, that moment right there shaped it, sealed it, locked it in. So your moments are so important to be able to speak death or speak of life. I prefer you speak of life in the people's life all the time. Now, what was your second question again? I forgot that quick.
Oh, gee, I don't know.
And,
I don't know, because when you start talking about your fourth grade teacher, I mean, it was my first grade teacher, and she brought me, and she asked all the kids in the class, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I said, "I wanted clothes." And you should have seen her face. And then the next day, she brings me a trash bag, like like a grocery bag, a brown bag, full of clothes for a little girl. And oh my gosh, I mean, I realized that strangers do care. If you can't get what you need from your family, kids, go talk to a stranger, because strangers care and they will help you.
yeah.
And that was a really cool wake up call. So sorry about that. I
No
totally
problem.
lost it, because teachers, oh my God, bless you, all of you teachers. Thank you for the ones that really do reach out to the kids who no one else does. And you have no idea. You have probably stopped a school shooting because
Yeah.
you're loving that unlovable kid.
Good
So
kid.
yeah, keep going. Okay. So, you've got 2 books, The Winning Edge and The Winologist. Tell us about your books.
So basically, the Winologist, I'm talking about the actual progression. I am walking you through the ramp of how I was able to just navigate so much in life, from the, setbacks, the setups for comebacks, right? The winning edge is, because people are like, "Okay, Shawn, how were you able to achieve so much? How did you get this level of success?" Well, there's actually 2 tracks out there. One's called rules, and the other one's called laws. Now, I break rules all the time, but I never break laws. And I've learned when I was a kid, I've learned without knowing what I was doing, I learned how to use spiritual laws in my favor. So I'll give you an example. My mom would, every month, she would give $20 to the poor. She would sit me down and I would drink a little bit of coffee and a lot of milk. She would drink a little bit of milk and a lot of coffee, and I would sit down and I would sit in the kitchen with her, and she would pull out $20, because she was a maid. So she pulled out $20 and she put it in the envelope and she sent it to World Vision overseas. And God told her that if you give to the poor, I will always take care of you. I will always take care of you, Edith. And we lived off of that system of sowing and reaping. So there's tons of systems out there. There's a system of capacity. There's a system of of actual return. And so I've learned how to live my life off of systems, not so much of rules. And I'm sharing them in the book.
I love it. Sowing and reaping, that
Yeah,
is something that we as humans mess up sometimes.
all the time.
And guys, please don't do this. Please don't do that. If you're going in and you're saving somebody for the same thing over and over and over again, they are planting seeds of yuck and you are consuming the yuck.
Yes.
Stop doing that.
Yes.
Just stop it. However, I have what I call God's account, and 10% of everything I earn goes in there. And I don't care if it's a tax write-off or not. If somebody needs something, I have it. And it's a heck of a feeling to do that. And you cannot outgive God.
No, you cannot. One of the things I say is that successful people are based their life off of production. Winners base their life off of reproduction. So they're always reproducing in other people. They're always sowing into other people. You cannot. It is a spiritual law. It doesn't come to you, or it won't stick with you if it can't get through you. And some of the most the top-notch winners I know in the world, they live their life giving, sowing, and blessing, not only with their money, but with their words, with their actions, everything. They consider everything that they do, every word that they say, every motion and every gesture is a seed. And that's how they live their life, that discipline, that all that they do is a seed. Whether a good seed or a bad seed, you choose.
And whether you realize you're living your life that way or not, you are, because every
Yeah.
seed you plant produces
A crop.
a crop. Yeah.
Some
So
some of us need to pray for crop failure. Me, I can
oh
pray for
yeah.
crop failure all the time. Yeah,
Oh gosh, we are a mess, aren't we?
yeah.
Okay, so how do you maintain? Well, first, I want to go back to your business. Your security company is incredibly successful. I mean, you have all kinds of accolades and success.
Mhm.
Why are you having somebody come in and tear it apart and tell you what's wrong?
Well, because as we talked about earlier, is that every player needs a coach. Everyone needs to be able. You need somebody that can see what you can't see. You need someone to give you another perspective, and you have to have the humility to accept it and to grow with it. I have a strategic growth pattern of this is where I want to be at financially with the company in so many years. They're like, okay, well, we got to tear this whole thing apart because you don't have the capacity for it. And one of the things that sparked this is that we would go on this yo-yo for the last 15, 20 years. We're on a yo-yo. So we would have 70, 80 employees, and then we'll go up to 100, 105, and then we'll start losing contracts. And we get down to, well, basically what's happening is that I am dictating, I am dictating to the world and to the spirit that we only have the capacity for 70 to 75, 80 people, so many contracts. We don't have the capacity for 100 to 200. So it's time for me to step off of that perpetual hamster wheel here. And the only way to step off that cycle is to have somebody else, a coach, a mentor, a consultant, to go in and break the cycle and to break it, to crack it. And it's painful to break it and say, no, let's construct another wheel. That's what I'm doing.
Good for you, man. Growth is incredibly painful.
Yes.
Okay, so what is your mental diet?
My mental diet, wow. So I love to read the word. I listen to the word. I like to listen. Like me and Audible are best friends, right?
Me and you both.
Yeah. So I listen to the word. I listen to books, but I do something even more interesting is that I listen to myself. I listen to the spirit. So one of the new strategies I just started, because I'm not that PC type of a speaker, so I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, like, there was a time when I would first get up in the morning and I'm rolling over and I'm on my phone, right? First thing in the morning. So now, what I like to do first thing in the morning is there's nothing. I don't move, and I just listen. Sometimes it's from God, sometimes it's from my own heart, sometimes it's from my body, and I'm listening, and I'm what's the word? I am mentally digesting because I played football. Okay, one of the downsides of me playing at sports at a professional level is that I did not process emotions well. So there'll be tons of emotions, things that are happening in the day, but I could stuff it down because it's game time. But just because you stuff it down don't mean it's gone anywhere. It's still there. And it comes up at the most craziest times. So I give my body, my heart, my soul an opportunity for like 15, 20 minutes in the morning. What's going on to process what's in my heart? And there's a lot there and a lot comes out.
That is brilliant, beautiful. I believe I'm pretty sure it's Psalm 119 that has the word meditate in it like 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that people who are not, who are Christians, a lot of times have a block about meditation. And it is right from the word, you need to meditate. And that's what Shawn's talking about here is meditate,
Yeah.
listen, be
Yeah.
quiet. Because if he's trying to talk to you and you're doing all the talking, you can't hear him.
Yeah. And coupled by the fact that everything in the world is talking to us nonstop. The computer's talking to us, our phone is talking to us, TV shows are talking to us, TV, everything. It's nonstop. Everything is programming you. And you're not meant to live that way. You're meant to be the programmer, but something has a vested interest in programming you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the questions that I like to ask people, especially when you're living an epic life at the level that you are what are some tips that you can give someone who's watching this or listening to this, and they're like, man, if he had all that going against him and he's uber successful now, maybe I could have just a normal life. That would be my goal is just to be normal. What would be some tips you could give them that are easy to start?
So I have my motto, right? And there's 3 words that I basically run my life on, okay? And it's live, give, and forgive. That's how I run my life. Number one, I live. And what I've learned to do is that I maximize the moment. And I put a lot of energy. I'm not perfect, right? But I put a lot of energy into the moment. And if you take care of the moment, the moments will take care of the momentum. But if you don't take care of the moments, your moments become memories, right? And so now so now you're focusing as we get older, you're putting all your thoughts and energy into your memory, and now you've escaped the moment. And when we're younger, we put all of our energy into the momentum and we escape the moment. So put your energy in the moment will take care of the momentums, and then you can enjoy the memories. Let's live. Give. We already talked about it earlier. Give nonstop. Give of yourself. Just pour out. And one of the most important ones is forgive. I don't even have time. That's a whole talk of the power of forgiveness, because it actually blesses you so much to forgive. And as we get older, man, we know there's a lot of things that we're angry at, right? And I got to go here. We're angry. We're angry at things didn't fill out our expectation in life. We're angry at broken relationships. We're angry at abuse when we were younger. And that anger, you know what? I've learned this. Anger always destroys the container that it's held in. Always.
Amen.
And so you have to deal with it. 90% of all illnesses come from unresolved emotional trauma, anger, unforgiveness. I spend so much time forgiving. I've had a lot of betrayal. I had a lot of abuse. I have a lot of abandonment. Uh, I've had this company was almost stolen from me 2 times. I have to, but I've learned how, and I'm learning every day, like 4 or 5 times a day. God, I forgive them. God, because I can hold resentment easy. But I've learned that it will destroy you. It will destroy you from the inside out. And then it will block your blessing. Forgiveness. I forgive all day. I forgive them. Yeah.
Very, very, very powerful advice, and thank you so much. And you did mention we're wrapping up here. You did mention that all that stuff that you stuffed down is still inside of you. And guys, we've been talking about this. It just keeps coming up on this podcast. You have to release it.
You
You
have to.
have to get rid of
Yeah.
it because it's an anchor that is holding you down, and you're not even aware of it. So spend some time alone with yourself in the mornings. Don't be looking at your phone, and just really take a few minutes and just check in. I think that was powerful advice. This podcast is called Think Your Way to an Epic Life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is.
And I know you can't just think and it all comes to you, but it all does start with your thinking. So what are some tips to help our folks think their way to an epic life?
Well, I think one of the most amazing tips is that you take control of your thinking. Yeah. So when a negative or hateful thought, I mean, still my mind rehearses like negative scenarios sometimes, like, well, this is going to happen. And I'm going to say, hey, man, I get caught up in this 15-minute personal dialogue, right? And that's releasing energy. And it turns out that wasn't even what the person was thinking. Like, what the heck just happened? I went all the way here and it was like, no, this is what happened. I'm like, man, I've created an entire scenario about you and how you were disrespecting me. It had nothing to do with it. So what I've learned how to do, according to the word, is I take every thought captive and I stop it at the gate as quick as I can and I rewrite the script. I have a guy right now. Oh man, he actually works or used to work with us, and he's trying to get unemployment. And he wants to do this, and he wants to cheat the system. He wrote fake doctors' excuses, and I was upset. I didn't tell nobody. I'm pissed because I've done so much for this guy over the last 2 or 3 years. Right? Stop it at the door. You know what? This is what's going on. I forgive him. I bless him. And that allows my energy and that just allows so much to be at this level because I know that if I hold that anger in and I start snapping or this happens, it's blocking my blessings. And it's not just me, the whole company's at stake. My marriage is at stake. My house is at stake.
Yeah. It's like what do they say about revenge? It's like drinking the poison and hoping they die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This has been beautiful, Shawn. Thank you for blessing us with your time
And
so much.
listen, hold on, listen, no.
Hold on,
Please,
hold on.
please, give me one more because this just hit me. In particular, and this is what I didn't do, and this is what I have to share with you in your audience because I didn't do this, especially when it comes to grieving, because in our culture, people are dropping. People are meeting an unexpected end, and that like when I turn on social media, it's everyone's parents and kids. I'm just like, wow. And if we don't process grieving correctly, it will lodge into your body, lodge into your nervous system, and it will alter every aspect of your life. And now I know why when I see people in their 50s and 60s and 70s and they're so old and cranky and angry, I know why now. It's a death. It's a death to whether a loved one, a death of a dream or a vision or an idea. And every aspect, not just a physical death, every aspect, whenever there's a loss, you have to walk a grieving process. And I didn't do it. I've had people send me books. I didn't read them. I have a grief counselor in Austin, Texas, who wanted to help me for free, and I didn't do it. And I paid that price. So yeah, our culture doesn't teach grieving properly. Okay. That is probably one of the most underreported, underestimated tragedies. If it's not done right, it will destroy you.
Thank you for that. So to do it right, Say someone is hearing you right now and they're like, okay, so what do I do? How do
Get
I
a
do it?
coach. You get a coach. You
A
find somebody,
grieving coach.
or there's a couple good books out there. I don't know the titles of them. I still haven't read them, but get a coach, somebody to help you, walk you anytime. And you know what's so crazy is that every grieving pivot moment in your life, people fall off. It's like when somebody's 11 and 12, they are grieving the fact that they're turning into a teenager and they're no longer a child anymore. That's where a lot of kids get in trouble in their teenage years. Why? Because of grieving. When they're 18 and 19, they're grieving the fact that they're not in high school no more and they're going to college. You know, so every capillary, every aspect of life, you have to have a system to address it, embrace it, feel the emotion, feel the circle, and close it out. And we're not taught that because our culture is based off of production, not reproduction.
That should go on a billboard.
Yeah,
It's
I'm learning
beautiful.
it. I'm learning it. Yeah.
You're teaching it, bro. That's how you learn the best, right?
You know what I'm thinking? No, I might just become certified after I go through it myself.
Well, you know, like Ed Milet says, the person you can help the most is the person you used to be.
Yeah. I lost my father, my brother, my sister, my mother, probably all within, and another very, very close relationship all within 5 years. It had a profound effect on me, and I wasn't able to fully express it. And it had a really profound negative effect upon me because I still had to function as a speaker, as a business. I still had to function, but it hindered a lot in my life. So yeah.
Face it, deal with it. And guys, his vulnerability is making me be vulnerable here. I really did believe, because it was this is how you will block yourself from health. I really did believe if it's back there and it's trauma and it's back there, leave it back there. I truly believe that. And I promise you, if you do that, it will come back and bite you so hard. Just face it when it comes up, whatever it is.
Yes. Face it, embrace it, release it. I think I write that down. Face it, embrace it, release it. Yeah.
Hey, it's going to live on this forever. Shawn, is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Nope. It's just you had alluded to faith earlier. Had it not been for God, my relationship with God, or more importantly, His relationship with me, and how He sees me, I promise you, I would not be here today. I would not be talking to you today.
Right on. So, if somebody wants to pick up the word that has never picked it up before, what book should they read?
Well, you know what? That's a tricky question right there. Because if you ask 100 people, they'll probably have 100 different questions. But I would start in the New Testament. I would start with the book of John, depending on, it's really interesting. They have 4 gospels and they got 4 temperaments for every gospel, right? And so 4 basic personalities. So I would choose the gospels. I would start there, and I would start with John. And then if you're more into it, or you have a more deeper thought of mind and you like to read things like Josephus and all that stuff, right? I will start in Acts. But if you're just more grounded and simple, take the gospels. And if you're more intuitive, use Acts. Acts is a very, very, very important book.
Very cool. And guys, if you do want to talk to either one of us, just leave comments on YouTube. We're on all the other platforms, but on YouTube, if you'll just leave a comment down there, one of us will be happy to respond to you.
Yeah, I will.
All right. God bless you, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, be blessed. Take care.
Okay, you too.